Hi, Vance. Hi, George. How you doing? I'm doing good. How are you? I'm doing great. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Hey, I have a question for you. Okay? So, I know that you want to be a priest. You want to be a preacher in church. And that is very admirable of you. I wanted to ask you, are there any Christian preachers that you look up to, like as a role model for why you want to be a preacher? Wow. That's a very interesting question. And you know something? I would have to say that that's a question that actually doesn't have one answer because, you know, there are a lot of Christian preachers and theologians that I look up to, like the Archbishop Desmond Tutu, for example, an Anglican bishop in South Africa, a man that I consider to be the Martin Luther King Jr. of South Africa because of his faith, he had the courage to stand up against segregation and racism in South Africa. Segregation, which I have to be honest, I thought it was very interesting that there was a place anywhere that was dealing with segregation. Even after us Americans, we dealt with our own segregation issues. We had our civil rights movement with Martin Luther King Jr. I didn't think that there would be any other civil rights movements or segregation problems anywhere else in the world, and especially Africa. Yeah, that was pretty surprising to me. So, but he was bold enough to stand up against something that he believed was wrong, and not only that, he also had the heart, because of his faith, to try and find forgiveness in his heart for the things that those terrible people in South Africa did to the victims of apartheid. His faith pretty much taught him that regardless of how terrible a person is, that, as a Christian, you're supposed to exercise forgiveness, and he did. He was even chosen by Nelson Mandela to be one of the leaders, one of the heads of the Reconciliation Committee that took place after apartheid was vanquished. Truth and Reconciliation Committee, I think it was called. So, yeah. And also, another Christian that I admire from the Roman Catholic tradition would be Mother Angelica, because she was a nun who started out with nothing, but by God's amazing grace, she was able to pull a lot of money together to where she was able to start, one of the greatest televangelist networks in the world, the Eternal Word Television Network, better known as EWTN, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's probably more familiar to Roman Catholic Christians, whereas Protestants would probably be more familiar with TBN. Ah, TBN, yes, me too. The Trinity Broadcasting Network. Yeah. So, and